The pounding on the door shattered the serene morning quiet of our suburban haven in Maplewood Estates. It was one of those crisp autumn days where the leaves were just starting to turn, and the air carried the faint scent of fresh-cut grass from neighbors' lawns. "Open up, Mr. Harris. Your wife's under arrest." The voice boomed with an authority that didn't belong in our peaceful cul-de-sac. My heart skipped a beat as the relentless knocking rattled the framed photos on our living room wall, pictures of family vacations, our kids' graduations, and Emily in her sheriff's uniform at her swearing-in ceremony. Maplewood had always been the epitome of small-town America: block parties, 4th of July barbecues, and folks who knew your name. But in that moment, it felt like we'd been thrust into a gritty police drama, and I was playing the bewildered homeowner. I hesitated, peering through the peephole. 4 men stood shoulder to shoulder on the porch, clad in dark blue uniforms that looked official at first glance: breast shirts, badges glinting in the sunlight, holsters heavy with pistols already drawn. Sunglasses masked their eyes, adding to the intimidation. No patrol cars in sight, no flashing lights, just these strangers demanding entry. "Step aside, sir. She's coming with us," the leader growled, his jaw clenched like he was chewing on nails. I cracked the door, keeping the chain latched. "You've got the wrong house. Or the wrong people." My voice came out steadier than I felt, but inside, my mind raced. Emily and I had lived here for over 20 years, raised our family without so much as a parking ticket. What could this possibly be about? The leader didn't budge. "Mr. Harris, don't complicate this. Call her out." Neighbors were stirring now, curtains parting across the street. Mr. Walters pausing his morning walk with his dog, phone already in hand. The whole block seemed to hold its breath. From the hallway behind me, I heard Emily's footsteps, light but purposeful. "David, what's going on?" she asked, her tone even, like she was inquiring about the weather. I turned slightly. "They say they're here for you, some arrest warrant." She didn't flinch or gasp. Instead, a faint smile tugged at her lips, the kind that said she'd seen worse in her 30 years on the force. "I'll handle it." The screen door creaked as Emily stepped out beside me, not in her usual weekend sweats, but in full sheriff's regalia and uniform, crisp from the dry cleaner, silver badge pinned proudly over her heart, duty belt complete with radio and handcuffs. The sunlight caught the edges of her insignia, making it shine like a beacon. The 4 men's postures shifted instantly, like puppets with cut strings. One's hand twitched on his pistol grip, another's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. For the first time, cracks appeared in their Fasadino name tags, no department patches that matched any local force I knew. Emily crossed her arms, her voice calm but commanding. "Gentlemen, you're aiming firearms at a civilian on his own property. Holster them immediately, or this escalates." The leader tried to regain control, his voice dropping an octave. "Ma'am, this isn't your concern, Sheriff Emily Harris." She cut him off sharply, tapping her badge. "It is when you're on my porch, in my neighborhood, pretending to be something you're not. Show me your IDs, your badges, and that so-called warrant. If you're legitimate, you know protocol. If not, you're committing multiple felonies right now: impersonation, brandishing weapons, attempted false arrest. That's a decade behind bars, minimum." The air grew thick with tension. A dog barked down the block, and I spotted Mrs. Ellis on her porch, robe clutched tight, her phone raised to record. The neighborhood grapevine was activating, and these guys knew it. Emily didn't wait for their excuses. She thumbed her shoulder mic. "Dispatch, this is Sheriff 214 Echo. 4 unidentified males in dark blue uniforms at my residence, weapons drawn, claiming an arrest warrant on me. Run confirmation on any active orders." The radio crackled back almost instantly, audible to everyone. 214 Echo, copy. Negative on warrants. No active orders. Units rolling code 3 ETA 2 minutes. Advise on 4 possible impersonators. Color drained from the leader's face like water from a sieve. His cronies exchanged panicked glances, one whispering, "Boss, this is going south fast." Sirens wailed faintly in the distance, growing louder by the second. Emily's eyes locked on theirs. "You heard it. Drop the weapons, hands where I can see them. My deputies are en route, and every neighbor here is filming. Make a smart choice." The men hesitated, weighing their options: fight, flee, or fold. The leader raised his pistol higher, a desperate bluff. You think that badge protects you? Step forward now. Emily's response was steel-edged. It doesn't protect, might exposes you. No real cop would pull this stunt without backup or paperwork. The sirens screamed closer, tires screeching around the corner. 2 black and whites pulled up, lights flashing, doors flying open. Deputies emerged, service weapons trained. Weapons down. On the ground. The imposter's resolve crumbled. Pistols hit the concrete with clatters that echoed like defeat. They knelt, hands up, as cuffs clicked into place. The youngest one, barely out of his 20s, muttered repeatedly, "This wasn't how it was supposed to go down." As the deputies secured the scene, a new figure marched up the sidewalk. Robert Klein, our HOA president, clipboard tucked under his arm like a talisman. He was in his mid-60s, always impeccably dressed in khakis and polo shirts, the self-appointed guardian of Maplewood's standards. He'd fined us last month for a fence color that didn't match the approved palette, ignoring our appeals. "What in tarnation is going on here?" he blustered, face reddening. "You can't just arrest these Monty on official HOA business." Emily turned, her expression a mix of disbelief and fury. "Official? They drew guns on my husband, Robert. Claimed a bogus warrant." "You sent them?" Robert puffed out his chest, but his voice wavered. "They're compliance officers from neighborhood enforcement partners. The board hired them to handle violations. You've been ignoring our notices about that eyesore of a shed in your backyard." Murmurs rippled through the growing crowd of neighbors, dozens now, some in pajamas, all filming. "Mrs. Ellis shouted, "You hired thugs with guns? My grandkids play out here." Robert waved his clipboard dismissively. "It's for the good of the community, maintaining property values. No one was supposed to get hurt." Emily stepped forward, boots firm on the pavement. "Hurt? They threatened kidnapping. That's not enforcement, that's criminal. And if you funded it, you're complicit." The tension peaked when the scarred imposter, wrists cuffed in front but not tightly enough, lunged free from a deputy's grasp. "You're not getting away with this," he roared, charging at Emily, cuffs swinging like a makeshift weapon. The crowd gasped. Time seemed to freeze. I moved instinctively to shield her, but Emily was faster. She sidestepped, grabbed his extended arm, and twisted with practiced precision. A sickening crack of bone filled the air. He howled as she swept his legs, slamming him face first onto the porch. Pinning him with her knee, she snapped, "Assault on a peace officer. You're done." Cheers erupted from the neighbors. "Mr. Walters," yelled, "That's our sheriff." Deputies piled on, double cuffing him securely. More units arrived, turning the street into a sea of red and blue lights. The imposters were loaded into cruisers, their fake badges confiscated. A deputy approached Emily with a folded paper from the scarred man's pocket. "Sheriff, you need to see this." It was a forged detention order, official-looking county letterhead, her name in bold, charges fabricated about community violations. But the footer screamed fraud, prepared by Community Compliance Division, stamped with the HOA's interlocking houses logo. Emily held it aloft. "This came from you, Robert. Forged judge's signature, retired 3 years ago. You crossed into felony territory." The crowd's outrage boiled over. "You forged court docs." "Mr. Walters bellowed. "Our dues paid for this nonsense." Robert stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "It was a template clerical mix-up. The company assured me it was legal." But Emily wasn't letting him off. "Legal doesn't involve guns and lies. This is conspiracy, endangerment. The DA will bury you." Neighbors closed in, sharing stories. "He fined me $500 for holiday lights. Threatened liens on my house for a bird bath." The air crackled with pent-up frustration, years of HOA bullying finally erupting. By evening, the HOA clubhouse was packed for an emergency meeting, standing room only, the air thick with anger and stale coffee. Robert stood at the podium, clipboard shaking. "Folks, this morning was an unfortunate error. Neighborhood enforcement partners overstepped, but it was to protect our standards." Booze drowned him out. Emily took the floor, projecting cell phone footage, the door pounding, guns drawn, her takedown. "This isn't about standards, it's about power abuse. Robert hired criminals, endangered families, all with your dues." The room exploded. Residents shared tales of harassment, elderly Mrs. Thompson fined for her garden gnomes, young families pressured to sell over minor infractions. A motion to oust Robert passed unanimously amid thunderous applause. He muttered threats as deputies escorted him out. This isn't over. He poked a bear bigger than Maplewood. But the victory felt real. Media swarmed the next day. Local news, then national. Headlines blared. Sheriff thwarts HOA-backed fake cop raid. The DA's presser promised justice. Charges filed. Federal probes into NEP's interstate scams. Raids shut down their Houston HQ. Executives faced racketeering counts. Robert got 12 years for conspiracy and fraud. His empire crumbled. Months later, Maplewood thrived under a new, transparent board. No more petty fines. Community events flourished. Emily and I reflected on the porch one quiet evening. We exposed the rot, she said. HOAs like that prey on folks' fears, but unity wins. The nightmare ended, justice served, our neighborhood stronger. What about you? Share in the comments. Have you dealt with HOA tyranny or seen violence stem from unchecked power? Take a stand on injustice in everyday life. Let's hear your thoughts and build a conversation on fighting back.